Our approach when you get your genetics back is a three-prong approach. We're going to give you targeted supplementation so that you can feed that nutrient deficiency, and then we're going to give you targeted nutrition. So what's the right type of food to eat? Even my friends will text me and be like, "Oh, I saw on TikTok I should eat peanut butter at midnight." Just random things. This helps you be more focused. And then the third thing is exercise. I was exercising morning and night, and it wasn't until I got my genetic test back that I saw that overexercise was actually spiking my cortisol.
Welcome to Harmonic Alignment, a podcast that explores the new frontier of energy medicine, bridging the gap between Western medicine and quantum physics, giving you easy and practical solutions. Guided by me, Dr. Larisa Sharipova, and me, Priscilla Koblenz. Join us on a journey discovering your harmonic alignment. On today's episode of Harmonic Alignment, weight loss. This is a powerful conversation with Dr. Larisa Sharipova and Dr. Phyllis Pobee. Dr. Phyllis is a triple board certified physician specializing in genetic weight loss, longevity, and anti-aging medicine. She's the CEO of Gene Lean 360 and the best-selling author of Lean Genes. She shares her own 100-pound weight loss journey and gives us some incredible wisdom and insight on how to truly have an individualized approach to weight loss, starting at the gene level. She says that weight loss starts in the mind and that genes are a part of your strategy. They're not your destiny. This is an incredibly powerful episode that you're going to want to take some notes and definitely check out her website, geneticweightlossbook.com.
Welcome to Harmonic Alignment. Today I have my colleague, Dr. Phyllis Pobee. We will talk about genetic testing, genes, weight loss, and everything around that. So welcome to the show, Dr.
Thanks
Pobee.
for having me.
Impressive background, triple board
Thank
certified physician, specializing in genetics, weight loss, longevity, anti-aging medicine. So can you share your story? What inspired you to focus on weight loss?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I was someone who struggled with weight loss my entire life, even as a doctor. And that is something that brought me a lot of shame because I was practicing as a family medicine physician, 100 pounds overweight. I had done crazy things in the past, like before my wedding, I had lost 50 pounds doing a liquid only diet, and then the weight came back and then some. And so I really resonated with my patients that were coming to see me and looking for something that worked. But it really came down to me feeling like enough was enough. I was, and I still am, a mom of two young children, and just understanding that I couldn't be the mom or the wife that I wanted to be, being so overweight. I knew it had to be something at a cellular, molecular level. And I dove into what was a relatively new science, and it's still evolving, genetics and genetic weight loss. I became board certified in obesity medicine and applied my knowledge with genetics and helped myself first lose 100 pounds, and then now have established that into a program where I help women over 30 lose weight and keep it off with our company, Gene Lean 360.
Can you tell us more about your company and what's your approach to health and wellness and specifically to weight loss?
So we have a three-step approach. I always encourage people to head to geneticweightloss.com, do your genetic avatar quiz. And so when I talk about genetic avatars, it's also in my book, Lean Genes. And in the book, I talk about 12 different genetic avatars. So this could be dopamine driven. This could be sugar shaper. You could be one of the lucky ones that can eat things like pizza and wine, and you're a carb converter. So these are things that are really important to keep in mind. First, knowing what your genetic avatar might be. Most women have usually like 3 to 5 that we're addressing. And the way to know for sure is a genetic test. So setting up a consultation with us by going to the website, and then you come into our program. It's a 16-week program. We start off with the genetic test, and then we're implementing the changes to activate your lean genes and really going to target some of those genetic variations that we're seeing that are causing you to gain weight and not keep it off. So we have our own genetic testing company, GeneLean. And so if you want to learn more, definitely head to geneticweightloss.com. And it has changed the lives of the women that I work with because it's the story of you is what I call it. And so when you get your report back, some women will say, oh, I knew that. Like I knew I wasn't supposed to be vegan. I knew only eating vegan was leaving me feeling bloated and inflamed. And I think very oftentimes as women, we feel that, oh, I just need to eat less. But a lot of us are overfed and undernourished. And so, especially given the fact that the soil our food is grown in is not the same soil we had 30, 40 years ago. So a lot of the food that we eat doesn't have the nutrients that we need. So we get into this guessing game of what supplements should I take, or maybe that would be the answer for me. And it's really a spray and pray mentality. If you really look at the fat breakdown cycle, there's so many places where a lot of these nutrients are needed. There's no way you're going to know exactly which one you're depleted in. And that's what I love about genetics. It's that targeted approach, assess, don't guess. And so our approach when you get your genetics back is a three-prong approach. We're going to give you targeted supplementation so that you can feed that nutrient deficiency, and then we're going to give you targeted nutrition. So what's the right type of food to eat? Even my friends will text me and be like, "Oh, I saw on TikTok I should eat peanut butter at midnight." Just random things. This helps you be more focused. And then the third thing is exercise. I was exercising morning and night, and it wasn't until I got my genetic test back that I saw that overexercise was actually spiking my cortisol.
You mentioned a little bit of misconception, how people try to lose weight, right? So let's talk about more.
Definitely. I think so. We always think more, more, more. So more exercise, getting more time in the gym. Cortisol is a hormone, which is great when you're running from a bear, right? If you are not, and your cortisol is sky high, what happens is cortisol is dumping sugar into your bloodstream. And so when your cortisol is high, and if you're someone that I call a cortisol carrier, so you are very affected by the levels of cortisol and your cortisol levels don't come down after a natural spike of cortisol, then that blood sugar level stays higher throughout the day. Then you crave more sugar. Then it becomes so much harder to lose weight and keep it off. And then on top of it, when your cortisol is already still high, and then some people are doing these workouts right before bed, it doesn't give time for that cortisol to fall off for you to get good sleep, go into fat loss, and then start the day again tomorrow. So you then wake up very exhausted, and then you find yourself in the Starbucks drive-through trying to get a sugary drink to stay awake. So all of these things compound on each other. It's never just one gene or one avatar. It really is a full picture, and that's why we call our company 360, because we are looking at all of these different components. Another is fasting, very similar to talking about cortisol. First is understanding how you're fasting. So for some people, fasting is I'm only going to eat one meal at 12 o'clock and then not for the rest of the day. And this backfires for so many different reasons. One, I talked about nutrient deficiency. And when your body is actively trying to fight inflammation, inflammation can come from toxins in our environment. Inflammation can come from stress. So when you don't have the right nutrients, your body can't fight off inflammation. It's like giving a fireman a hose with no water inside the hose. And so we want to give our body the necessary tools that it needs to fight, to do its regular day-to-day processes. And so if you are already nutrient deficient and you're not eating the right foods, and then you're cutting down your food to just eating once a day and it's not a nutrient dense food, you are putting your cells in a state of starvation. And then not to mention, this can put people into a binge eating cycle where they won't eat all day and then they go home and they have one meal, one huge meal, and they classify that as fasting and wonder why they're not losing weight. So that is something I don't recommend. And then again, as a cortisol carrier, that will elevate your cortisol levels because your body thinks you're in a state of despair, of starvation. Another myth that I get a lot is about the blood type diet. Should I do the blood type diet? There's only 4 blood types. So to squeeze the whole human population into 4 categories is just never going to be specific enough. I've had people tell me that they cut out eating protein because of their blood type, and then they're nutrient deficient. And this is really just not an appropriate or an accurate way to look at weight or weight loss. Of course, it's a nice idea to get a better understanding of you. I mean, that's all I do is precision medicine, but you want to look at your genetics because that's when you're looking at something as unique as your fingerprint. And that is really where you're going to get that precision.
And that's what I call holistic approach. You're not only looking on biochemistry, you probably do lab testing as well, right?
Yeah.
Like glucose and hemoglobin A1C and any other different biomarkers. But how about emotional and spiritual health for holistic approach to weight loss? What?
Oh my goodness. It's mindset, and I call it mindset and energy alignment. So, weight loss actually starts in the mind, not the gym. I would rather someone spend all the time that they can working on their mindset than going to the gym and pounding hours and hours on the treadmill. And this is because our brain is so powerful. Our brain is powerful in the way that what we perceive to be true in our brain can manifest physically. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. And most people will sabotage themselves long before they ever touch their diet. So your subconscious beliefs, stress levels, emotional energy determine how easily or how hard your body lets go of weight. This is fascinating to me because once I started with genetics, just purely science, right? I'm a physician. So I'm like, yes, I got the answers. Boom. Everyone's going to be fixed, miraculous. And people were still holding on to their weight a little bit. They would have progress, and then the self-sabotage would kick in. So mindset is a big part of what we do. We spend the first 7 days doing almost like a mindset boot camp because you have to unlearn all of the things you've told yourself for years and years. You've literally told yourself, I can't lose weight. I'm big boned. It runs in my family. Genes are your strategy. They're not your destiny. So it's not time to use that as an excuse to hold on to weight. So anytime your body is holding on to weight, yes, genetics is the answer. I had to look deeper even at some point in my weight loss journey. It was easier to do that though once I started losing weight. So once I am losing weight and I am motivated and I know all those things that I told myself before were lies, it's not true. I can lose weight. It's not true. I can be healthy. Then I could delve deeper into the whys. And my book talks about that too. It talks about the stress of losing my brother. It talks about grief, talks about infertility. And so if your body is holding on to weight, ask yourself, what else am I holding on to? And then, of course, when we get into the science of brain and brain thinking, your body is designed for survival, not aesthetics. Always remember that. I'm an aesthetic physician as well. I love aesthetics. I'm wearing a bright pink lip today, but that's what our body's designed for. Our body is trying to keep us alive. And, sometimes in the morning, just wake up and say, thank you. Thank you for keeping me alive. All of your cravings are a signal telling you something. So, first of all, when your stress is high, I'll go back into that, your body holds on to fat as a protective mechanism. So cortisol, as I mentioned, is the stress hormone, and it is a direct fat storage trigger. Chronic stress will equal chronic fat storage, especially around the belly. That's what your body starts doing. It starts doing very similarly like when your estrogen starts dropping in menopause. I've heard women say, I was pear-shaped before, but now I'm gaining a lot of weight in my belly. Your body actually starts storing fat in the belly because belly fat can metabolize into other forms of estrogen as well. So, common stress triggers is something that you should think about. A lot of people are saying, I hate my job, I'm overworked, I'm burnt out. I was an overworked physician, I can relate. But I also would really encourage women to go deeper. Do you have any emotional stress, any unprocessed trauma, any lack of sleep, any nervous system dysregulation, any negative self-talk or body shame? So you can have the perfect diet that we will create for you, we will sculpt for you. But if your nervous system is in survival mode, your body will refuse to lose the weight. And one thing I do want to get into is talking about the science of energy alignment. So, why your mind controls your metabolism. So, as I mentioned, your brain doesn't know the difference between a real threat or a perceived one. So, if you constantly feel unsafe emotionally or physically, your body stays in that fat storage mode that I talked about. So, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions will create this biochemical reaction, and so unresolved emotions like grief, anger, guilt will be stored in the body as physical weight. Low self-worth, the body will resist transformation because subconsciously you don't believe you're allowed to have what you want. Like, can you believe how powerful that can really be? I've seen it hundreds of times. Believe me, I know it sounds a little woo-woo for some people, but when you shift your energy and your mindset, your body follows.
And emotions, it's energy in
Mm.
motions, right?
Yes,
It's all
yes.
energetically related. And I am as an energy medicine practitioner, so I believe about the energy and
A
quantum.
hundred
Because
percent.
quantum biology, how
Mm-hmm.
quantum affect our physical human body. So is there specific genes that responsible for different emotions? Why some people express one emotion, some others?
Yeah, definitely. So that relates to what I call dopamine driven. For example, you might find yourself going to the fridge to get food because you think you're hungry, but you're really bored, or you just want that stimulation because there's your dopamine receptors are a little bit off. And then there's tons of genes that are related to anxiety and depression. There's genes that are connected to your stress response. And so having an understanding of that is going to be a game changer to know that, oh, wait, I'm someone that doesn't clear cortisol. If I'm feeling really stressed out, I actually need to like find where that feeling is in my body so that you can regulate and release it in a way that doesn't require numbing techniques like food. Eating food. So that's when I'm sure you talk a lot with your clients about like grounding techniques and how powerful that can be.
How about the mindset? Tell us a little bit more about the mindset in boot camp.
So I would break it down into 4 steps. Okay. Anyone can do this. So you're getting my boot camp for free. Step one, rewire your subconscious beliefs. So you have to sit down, and this is going to be hard. Like you might get emotional. Sit down and write down some of the things that you believe about yourself and weight. I've always struggled with weight. Losing weight is hard. I don't deserve to be skinny. I can never be skinny. Go through the whole list, write it down. Okay. You might sleep on it and then come back on it the next day. Now go back through that list and everything that you wrote, replace it with an empowering belief. So instead of I've always struggled with weight, you would replace it with my body is designed to be lean and healthy. That's a practice. That's something you have to continuously do. Once you write it down, writing down is so powerful in terms of rewiring, but you've actually never thought about this before. You've never looked at yourself in this way. So you, first of all, didn't know you had those subconscious beliefs. So now you're releasing them. And now you are working on replacing it with something more empowering. You can use them as affirmations, but you should remind yourself whenever those negative thoughts come, you have to quickly flip it to the empowering belief. Step two, regulate stress and nervous system balance. Now, I know I'm making it sound really easy, but the important part about this is practicing it when you are not stressed out. So, when you are stressed out, that is not the time to try to, like, okay, I'm going to regulate. No, when you're calm, everything is great. That is the time to start practicing things like breath work, practicing your meditation. And so then you can tap into it when you are in a high stress mode. And then the next thing I would say about regulating stress is prioritizing deep sleep to reset your cortisol and your fat burning hormones. The third is release emotional weight to release physical weight. So this is a little bit deeper. And I remember personally, like for my wedding, I was doing like pre-wedding counseling. And the therapist was like, I think you need individual counseling, like just for yourself around like the guilt of your brother passing and all of that stuff. And I go to the therapist, and the therapist is like, so we're gonna unpack a lot, and you're gonna feel a lot, and it's now a good time. And I'm like, I'm planning a wedding. Like, so I didn't go back for years and years. But give yourself that space because it will take that unpacking, but it's necessary to let go of resentment, guilt, or past failures attached to weight loss, and then work on self-acceptance and gratitude for your body now, not just at the goal weight. So that's a quicker way to do it. If you want to go deeper, of course, make sure you have the right tools. And the last step is align with your future self. I had to recently realign myself. I always tell my clients to do this, but I was going so much into the past, right? Like these past hurts and these past wounds, and just feeling in this frequency and vibration of lack and fear and oh my goodness, what if something terrible like this happens to me again? And then I just remembered to realign with my future self. She's already there. All the things I desire for my life, she's there. She's just waiting for me. And so I anchored myself to her and started acting and thinking and making my decisions more like that person, that that life I desire. For example, I'm very messy. Like I'm just a very messy person. Future me is not though. She's very organized. She has it all together. So just little things like even getting like an organizational system. So I wake up and things don't feel so cluttered around me. These are things that energetically move you to become the version of yourself who no longer struggles because you don't want it, right? You don't want that. And that's when weight loss happens, that energetic switch. And I always liken it to this. Sometimes we look at people's lives and we're like, should I want that or should I not? And the thing I loved about like being in my 30s, because in your 20s, you're just not sure, but in your 30s, it's like, oh no, I don't want that. Like my friends are having a third kid and I'm like, amazing, congrats, I don't want a third. And so if you look at something and it makes you feel envious, that's your future self telling you that you can have it or you can work towards it. So if you want something, energetically aligned to it. And if, someone has something that you don't want, be happy for them. That's something that they want and celebrate that with them. So never be in this energy of lack or envy or jealousy, very low vibration.
And of course, energy is like the
Yeah.
higher your emotions, right? The higher vibrations, the more
Yeah.
you have in your life and more positive stuff like law of attraction, it comes to you.
Yes,
And,
exactly.
and then another thing about energy also, when you try to mimic someone, for
Hmm.
example, oh, she did lose weight in this way,
Yeah.
I'm trying to do this way, or I'm doing this because of that person or celebrities or anybody else, it never works for you. When you discover your own uniqueness through the genetics, through the
Yeah.
energy, because I do energy assessment and see, so you do genetics, I do genetics as well, but we also look on the vibrational level.
That's
They're like,
amazing.
how is your organ vibrating? And now
Yeah.
measure frequency of each organ and meridians and everything in the body. So when you combine as a holistic approach, the energy, the
Yes.
genetics, the intuition, how you
Mm.
live on food, that's become a part of you. And it would be easy to do anything.
Literally anything. Isn't that amazing? It's so empowering. At first, it can be a little scary because there's no one to blame. You have all the power, but then it's so exciting. All the power lives inside of you.
And I think it's the best way when you have a tool. So you and I, as a physicians and working with clients, we give them tools. They
Yeah.
have to do the work. And at the beginning, relearning, as you said, and set your mind in different ways. So it's kind of scary sometimes because changes are scary, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes our labels like diagnosis or different things become a label and it's become our energy. We become that thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so a lot of relearning education happening in the first stage, but when you learn everything, how your body runs because of the genetics, it's become easy, it's become part of your life. I think people become happy when they learn more about themselves and follow the roadmap that we give them, right?
100%. And I liken it to like when I was potty training my daughter. She had been pooping and peeing in her diaper her whole life, right? So that's her comfort zone. And I'm knowing on the other side of potty training is a great life. You don't want to wear diapers for the rest of your life. Sometimes we undergo change and we have an accident, right? So, for example, if my daughter had an accident, I would have never said to her, you know what? Just wear diapers for the rest of your life. But why do we do the same thing to ourselves, right? When we have some type of accident or we don't do something perfectly when we're learning a new skill, that's what you do with your clients, right? You're teaching them new skills, a new level of vibration, a new frequency to live on. And it can be scary. We can want to go back down to low vibration, but it's so much better on the higher vibration and the higher frequency. So you owe it to yourself to do the necessary work and then it's done. You never have to do it again, just like you said.
So when people work with you, first is the mindset, they go through the boot camp. What's after that? What
So they
person?
actually, the very, very first step is the genetic test. So our genetic test is an at-home test, and it's just a nice cheek swab, and you throw it in the mail, and it goes to our lab. So while that is getting processed, then you do your mindset, then you undergo a medical grade detoxification because there's so many toxins in our environment. And so that is what you're doing while you wait for your results to come back. When your results come back, then that's when we go through the story of you and just tell you what you should be eating, how you should be exercising, customized supplementation, and that is what you're doing for the rest of the program. Now, it's so many genetics, so many genes. And so there's a lot of things that do come up. For example, dementia genes, ApoE4 is linked to a lot of the work I do in weight loss, vascular health, cholesterol. And so I'll ask people if that comes up, are you okay if we talk about it? Because a lot of the components of dementia are preventable. And most people are like, yes, I want to know. And so we do have that option after you finish working with us on weight. It kind of goes into what we call health 360. Now you're working on all the other things. Maybe if some anxiety, depression has come up that you want to deal with in a holistic manner, or dealing with cognitive health. Basically, it's lifelong. We're always working on our genes and just to be the best version of ourselves.
So it's not only a weight loss gene that you test for more genes, but in your program, you specialize on weight loss.
Exactly. So there's a bit of overlap. And so our panel is pretty condensed to weight loss, but because obviously anxiety and depression can overlap with the dopamine-driven genetic avatar, it does branch out a little bit. I believe in the future, we might expand our offerings. I mean, it's 360. You can't just pick one piece from another. And especially as a physician, I start to like, oh, but this, and I want to help you with this. And so I naturally see it evolving in that realm, because my overall goal is to just help women live healthy, happy lives. It's beyond the scale, it's beyond the bikini. And so naturally, we're going to go into all of these organ systems as well.
And I believe that health is just the symptoms of something underlying. It's not a disease, it's not a condition. Something is much deeper happening. And until we address that, like through maybe emotions, maybe some toxins. And I believe weight is holding toxins in our body.
Yes.
If you want to lose weight, you have to first get rid of toxins from the body. And you'll lose weight automatically because you don't need fat to hold those toxins.
Exactly.
And a lot of women, that's one misconception. They lose weight in different means, right? But the toxins are gonna stay in the body because you didn't remove them. So they circulate and go in the liver, in the brain, in the fat tissue, like nervous system, and they're gonna get all weight back because they need hold for the toxins somewhere.
Yeah,
So
that's such a good point. Yeah.
So I like that you have detoxification as a part of your program.
Yes, it's really important. And I'm just so fascinated by the work that you do, because I was never trained in that. I was always very much, where is the study and what does the literature say? But we know that there has been studies done on things like the placebo effect. So we do know that this is something that is documented, scientific. It's a law of nature. But I myself, I'm unlearning a lot of the things that I do and some of the limiting beliefs that I have. I mean, we now have our own genetic test. If you asked me years ago, I would have been like, no, there's no way. And that was just a limiting belief. And it surprises me that, the clarity of goals, how it can allow something to actualize. So I'm sure you work with like a lot of CEOs and entrepreneurs. Do you find that we are that limiting factor in anything that we want? Are we holding ourselves back from all of our goals?
Yeah, of course. And even related to weight loss, you probably know about ACE study, adverse childhood experience study, that started as a weight loss program. When they went deeper, why women quit the program when they become successful. That's what we learned now, that your emotions when you had in your childhood now shows up in your weight. And now you hold the weight because you never deal with the emotions. And it's great that you address those things too. And there's more and more now, due to technology, we know more about testing, even frequency. We measure frequency of each organ in the body. It wasn't possible like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
We knew that energy was existing. And Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, they're all based on energy. But we couldn't prove back then. Now we have a science, and now we're researching. We are doing it. And I came from medical background doing surgery and delivering baby because I trained as OBGYN, and now I nutrition. Because first of all, a lot of things helped me myself. I tried infertility as well, and nutrition helped my journey, and now I have 2 kids. So I know we have to look outside of the box.
Yes.
First helping ourselves, and that's why we do this work.
Yeah. It's personal to us. And that's, another frequency, right? It really resonates with us. And I think we also attract people who are similar to who we used to be, and we can guide them very easily to where they're looking to be as well.
Yeah, and speaking about genetics, so when I talk about genetics to clients or people who I know, I say, oh, genes, I don't want to know my genes because they're fixed and they cannot be finished. So tell us more how you talk to your clients if they have a resistance about genetics. And
Yes. I always say, right, genes are your strategy, not your destiny. So how can you fix what you don't know? And it's about expression. So talking about epigenetics is the importance. And not only can you change the expression of those genes in your body, but you can change it for future generations. So I think a lot of us, we get frustrated with our genes and wish, I wish that, I didn't have to deal with these cravings. And well, fix it for yourself, and then that'll also affect your future generation. And again, bringing that power back to say, yes, this is maybe what you started off with, but this is exactly, specifically how you can change it without guessing.
another practitioners, doctors, they say, well, if it's all about epigenetics, because with epigenetics, we turn on and off genes. So why we just don't do lifestyle and nutrition? Like in general, because everything affecting everything, right? Why we need to test and know our genes? Like we just live a healthy life and it's going to change your genetics.
That's a really good question. I think that, especially for women, moms, I really relate because I have two young kids. We are so busy that lifestyle and nutrition, what does that mean, right? The reason why our program is so successful is because it breaks it down into something that's tangible that actually makes sense to someone. So, oh, when you say lifestyle and nutrition, it means for me specifically this specific exercise. It means for me specifically, I need to get up and walk 20 minutes every day. Doing a HIIT exercise for 2 hours a day, not necessary. For me specifically, I shouldn't eat gluten. I shouldn't eat lactose. I have a propensity to not absorb enough B12. B9. I need a methylated version. Then that's why I focus on working with women. I get a lot of kickback, like men have problems too. I agree, but for women, it's an extra layer, right? Where yes, for men, I think they could do lifestyle changes. A lot of them do intermittent fasting. I used to counsel couples, and then I turn into like a marriage counselor because the husband is losing like rapidly and the wife is looking at me like, what about me? And so it's very important to realize that we're also dealing with hormonal factors. We are especially coming into perimenopause and menopause. These are things that simple lifestyle things that maybe we have done years before are not going to work in this new decade of life. So I wish it were that simple, but it's not.
And as
Yeah.
I say, you cannot do the same lifestyle for another person. So that's for you personal. And I think it's going to take much less time to do specifically for you lifestyle, specifically for
Exactly.
you nutrition and exercise.
More bang
And
for your buck.
yeah, and you get the result much faster when you
Exactly.
do. You run a group program when people support each other, or you work personally one
It's
on
both. So one-on-one, because obviously it's very personalized. I'm doing all of the plans. Everyone has my cell phone number. So there's that one-on-one piece. But it was a very lonely journey at times, losing 100 pounds. I wish I had the community that these women have. They'll post questions in the group chat and then I'm like responding, and then someone else will respond with something amazing because they're literally going through it at the same time. And it's so powerful. And I liken it to just being on the phone in traffic with a friend. You don't even realize you're in traffic. You get to your destination so much faster just by having that friend on the phone with you. And there's nothing that can replace community. I saw like a skyrocket of weight gain after COVID when I used to still do in-person obesity medicine. And everyone that came to my office, I would say, why are you here? And they would say, COVID. COVID. I lost my community that I used to do walks with. I just the isolation piece. And I'm sure you can talk to the vibration and the frequency of isolation and what that could have reminded them of loneliness in the past. And that caused them to, get into a state of weight gain. But very powerful community is important.
speaking about vibrations and community. So when you bring your vibration and you resonate with the same energy with another person, it's expanded. So that's
Ah,
why like-minded people coming together, they expand the energy and
that's
it's
amazing.
much happier community.
That's amazing. I'm fascinated by I gotta come and book a session with you. That is so cool.
Yeah, I think community is very important. We
Mhm.
we thrive in community and we cannot survive without the community. Even
No,
family, it's a community too.
exactly.
And how
Exactly.
it's important to have support in the family, speaking about family.
Mm.
One person in the family needs to lose weight. I know it's affecting everyone in the family, but how it's important to have a support from everyone else. And
It's
sometimes
so crucial. I think because when we're going through a change, sometimes we look for excuses like, oh, I can't do this because my family wouldn't like it. Or what if I have to go to a gathering and someone says to me, oh, eat my food? I could talk about this for hours, but basically, if someone is frustrated by the fact that you're not overeating alongside of them, it's more so a reflection of them because they're seeing you change. They're seeing you get healthier, and now they feel, wait, does that mean I have to get healthier too? Like, does that mean that I have to change? And it's easier in the interim to get you to stop doing what you're doing as opposed to that person also changing. So that is what's happening on a subconscious level. And then another thing I like to tell people is that it can almost feel like the Olympics. I love the Olympics, first of all. I love watching people in their highest version of themselves. They've been training for 4 years. You and I, we've trained for years and years. So I can liken that. We know that feeling of putting something into something and then you having this moment. And when you sign up for a program like this, you should look at it like your Olympics. Nobody ever says to an Olympian, Simone Biles, for example, if she was saying, I needed this for my Olympic regimen, I don't want to eat this food for my Olympic training. No one would say to her, oh no, girl, go ahead and eat it. And if you had that conviction and that belief in what you were doing, what everyone else is doing doesn't matter. And that's how important this needs to be for you because you want it that badly. It's okay to want something that badly. And sometimes I think we, for whatever reason, we don't think we're worth it or we shouldn't go after anything 100%. But I promise you, you go after something and you want it, it's going to happen for you. You're going to find the necessary tools. And I think that's part of my story when people say, how did you find genetics? And I think it's just for me, it's like I just not only wanted to help myself, I wanted to help others so badly that even in this journey, I mean, we're still growing and expanding. I literally take a step and the path will rise to meet me. The right lab, the right coaches on my team, even writing the book, the right editors. Just don't be afraid to dream or want something. I know it's a tangent, but it's so powerful. And I know you can speak to that on a frequency vibration level.
yeah, and it's a mindset again. You have to
Yeah.
put your mind set on your goal. And
Hmm.
if you believe in that, again, it's bring your energetic
Yes.
vibration. So if you believe in that, and everything gonna come to you easily,
Yes.
right?
Ease and alignment. And I never believed in ease because I've worked so hard for every single thing I've had in my life. Like, what do you mean? Like ease? That's impossible. And I was working against myself. But yes, it can be easy. It can be an alignment. Anything, weight loss, love, relationships, money, whatever.
Speaking about alignment, our podcast name and our company is called Harmonic Alignment.
Yes, it is. I love it. I mean, what more do you guys want? That sounds amazing. I want some of that.
So what's for you? What does it mean for you, harmonic alignment?
This is actually so in alignment like with where I am personally in my life because I've been journaling and our company's expanding so rapidly. You can feel when even a song when it's like, oh, that's the wrong key and it just irritates you. And that's how sometimes I feel in my business or my relationships when it's just like just something's off and you just want to fix that frequency, that vibration to, that sounds beautiful. What a nice melody. And everything's nice and good. Now, I know that part of growth are times where you might not feel that harmony because you're moving into another frequency, but having someone like you as a guide to direct you back into harmonic alignment is like chef's kiss. I think it's
Mhm.
beautiful.
Beautiful, you say that.
Yeah.
I see harmonic alignment is like holistic life, right? If you live
Yes.
in harmony,
Yeah.
everything is aligned for you.
Yes.
From the holistic perspective, I always talk about different levels of healing. And we know that biological is kind of genetics and spiritual and mental and
Yeah.
psychological and vibrational. So everything together, it's create a harmonic alignment. So
It's
that's
so wonderful. I love that. That's beautiful. And I think I can relate because our company is called Gene Lean 360, and that 360 relates to everything. Like people are like, "Can I just get the genetic test?" I'm like, "No. You have to look at everything. I will never, ever just send the genetic test. If you see me doing that, just call me and be like, I thought you said you weren't going to do that." Because I really do believe in holistic living. I really do believe in permanent weight loss. We have to look at everything, and there's no shortcuts.
yeah, yeah. And when I did my genetic testing and I tried different diets, at that point I was on a keto diet for a year.
Hmm.
And when I got my genes back, E4, E4, so I shouldn't do that.
Yes.
We changed it, and it was the best diet for me based on my genes. It's a Mediterranean diet, but now
Yeah.
I cannot process grains, so that's what
Hmm.
I adapted. Now I eat this way, and I love it. Sometimes I crave like asparagus. I never call anything that I change with food, even with working with clients. I'm not putting you on a diet. That's your nutrition for the rest of your life.
Right.
You adapt to it, and it's now you feel happy and healthy. Same with weight loss. It's success. Uh,
Yes, exactly. I love that. That's so good.
It was so nice talking to you. So tell us where people can find your company and your book.
Yes, please go to geneticweightloss.com. You're going to get information about my book, Lean Genes. This is my baby here. I've put everything about the genetic avatar is in this book. You can also go to geneticweightlossbook.com to get the book. And then if you want information about the program, getting our genetic kit, you can go to genelean360.com. Follow me on Instagram at GeneLean360. Shoot me a DM. I love being in touch with all of you and answering all of your questions. But everything, of course, is housed at geneticweightloss.com. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Pepe.
All right, take care. Bye.
Are you ready for your Energy for Life bioenergetic nest scan? Dr. Larisa Sharapova and myself, Priscilla Koblenz, offer personal, private, 90-minute consults to get you back to optimal health and well-being. And starting in the new year, we're offering an Energy Mastery Program, a monthly membership, which will give you access to a monthly scan as well as 2 group masterclasses to help you optimize your wellness in the new year. For more details, visit the show notes or check out harmonicalignment.co. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Harmonic Alignment. If something resonated with you, we would love to hear about it. Please consider leaving us a 5-star review and subscribing so you don't miss an upcoming episode. Thank you. The information contained in this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and not intended for the purpose of diagnosing, treating, curing, or preventing any disease. Before using any products referenced on the podcast, consult with your healthcare provider. Carefully read all labels and directions. The products and information received through the podcast should not be used to replace a consultation or advice from your healthcare provider. If you suspect you have a medical problem or have any healthcare questions, please promptly call your healthcare provider. This podcast, including Dr. Larisa Sharapova and Priscilla Koblenz and the producers, are not responsible for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained in this podcast. This podcast may contain endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct financial benefit to the product or services referenced.